Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating way of looking at politics, one that tries to answer a simple question. Why do our political conversations so often feel like we're just talking to a brick wall?
The source material we're digging into kicks things off with this amazing quote from Game of Thrones, and it really gets to the heart of the matter. The idea that power, especially in our day-to-day conversations, isn't always real. Sometimes it's just a perception, a trick, a shadow on the wall.
Come on, you've been there, right? That Thanksgiving dinner debate that just goes completely off the rails. Or, that endless comment thread online that goes absolutely nowhere and just leaves everyone feeling frustrated and angry. It's like you're not even speaking the same language.
Well, the author we're looking at today says there's a very specific reason for this. And get this, it has almost nothing to do with facts or logic or who's actually right. It's about a hidden power game being played right under our noses.
According to this framework, the moment a political discussion feels impossible, it's because the goalposts have moved. It's not a search for truth anymore. It's turned into this irrational, personal fight for dominance. It's not about the best idea winning, it's about one person winning, period.
And this whole dynamic gets a name: micropower. Think of it like this: it's the urge to win a conversation, not by being more persuasive or having better facts, but by using these kind of irrational tactics to shut the other person down. It's a power play just on a really small personal scale.
To really get what micropower is, the author shows how it's different from other kinds of power. So you have legitimate authority, that's like stopping at a red light. You just do it, you accept it. Then there's raw power, which is basically using force. But micropower, it's different. It's sneakier. It uses these weird conversational tricks to get that upper hand.
Okay, so if these unwinnable arguments are actually these little micropower struggles, what are the tactics? What are the new rules of engagement when nobody's actually trying to find the truth anymore?
The author really hones in on two main tactics that are used to just completely derail a rational debate and grab that personal dominance. Let's take a look at what they are.
So the first one is called a micropower microaggression, or MMA. In this model, it's when a small, maybe even unintentional offense is used as a weapon, a proxy for a way bigger power play. So for example, a conversation about, say, tax policy gets totally sidetracked by an accusation that someone's specific choice of words was offensive. Suddenly, you're not talking about taxes anymore. The whole debate is now about this personal slight.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The author argues this tactic completely flips our whole idea of justice on its head. The accuser's feeling that there was hostile intent becomes the proof. And that leaves the person being accused with basically no way to defend themselves, because anything they say just sounds like they're digging a deeper hole.
The second tactic is all about controlling the environment itself. The author calls this a Safespace Parlor, and in this context, it's not about emotional support. It's described as a space, an online group, maybe even a college department, that's built to give all the authority to one specific group by just shutting out any and all opposing ideas.
The author pictures these parlors as having 3 layers of exclusion, like concentric circles. First, you control the space itself, who's even allowed in. Then, in the middle circle, you filter who's there based on their beliefs or identity. And finally, in the inner circle, you have super strict rules about what you can even talk about. The whole point is to insulate the group from any real challenge.
So you might be wondering, where does all this stuff come from? These little personal power plays don't just happen in a vacuum. The author says they're plugged directly into the huge macro-political world that we're all swimming in.
So here's the core idea. These micropower tactics are being fed by something much, much bigger. The author calls them Empires of Mass Abstraction. It's a pretty epic name, but it points to these huge, self-contained belief systems that are constantly reinforcing themselves.
And the author lays out 4 of these empires they see as the big players in American politics today. For instance, they describe the Mar-a-Lagoan rebels as using populist anger against what they see as elite indifference, which leads to relentless attacks on institutions. On another side, the author points to the Cheneyist First Order, which they say uses elitist moralizing and control over institutions to push back against the concerns of the masses. The framework also identifies groups on the left, like the Sanders-Sister Resistance, described as pairing its own populism with radical ideas to either remake or tear down institutions they don't like. And finally, the dark side Brandonists, who are characterized by the author as using elitist condescension to change society as little as possible while demanding thanks for it. According to this framework, these are the big ideological machines fueling those arguments we have every single day.
Okay, so we've pulled apart micropower, its tactics, the empires, but what's the point? Why does any of this actually matter? What's the big takeaway?
The whole point of this framework isn't about picking a side or saying who's right. It's really meant to be a new tool, like a new pair of glasses for looking at our political world. The idea is, if we can learn to spot these hidden power games as they're happening, maybe we can better understand what's really going on when a conversation just completely falls apart.
And honestly, that's the thing to hold on to here. The next time you're in one of those political arguments and it starts going sideways, just watch for these signs. Has it stopped being about facts and turned into a micropower struggle? Is someone using an MMA tactic or trying to build a Safespace Parlor right there in the conversation? Just seeing the game is the first step to deciding how or even if you want to keep playing.
And the author leaves us with this final, really powerful question to chew on. If our politics are really shaped by these abstract empires of the mind, and our debates are secretly about micropower, what does that mean for us as individuals, as citizens trying to navigate it all? It's a big question, and one worth thinking about,